In a small village, nestled between rolling hills and rice paddies, lived two young men. They were about the same age, had similar aspirations, and shared the same dreams for the future. But there was one crucial difference between them. The first young man was hardworking and diligent. The second was lazy and always seeking an easy way out. As the sun peeked over the horizon, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, our hardworking young man was already up. He tended to his fields, his hands moving with practiced ease as he weeded and watered the crops. His day was long and arduous, but he never complained. Each evening, as the fireflies began their nightly dance, he would return home with aching muscles and a heart full of satisfaction. Meanwhile, his lazy counterpart was still fast asleep. He dreamed of a life where work was done by someone else, where the fields cultivated themselves and the fruits of labor magically appeared in his bowl. When he finally did wake up, it was to the mocking laughter of the birds and the accusing glare of the sun. He spent his days lounging around the village, finding fault with everything and everyone. He criticized the farmer for using outdated tools, or the tailor for taking too long to finish a garment. His only ambition seemed to be to make someone else's life more difficult. The hard-working man, oblivious to the lazy man's envy, continued his daily routine. He didn't just work in his fields, he also took on extra tasks, fixing the village well, helping neighbors and participating in community projects. He was known for his reliability and his strong sense of responsibility. Whenever a task needed to be done, his name was at the top of the list. With each passing season, the hardworking man's fields grew more bountiful. His crops flourished, providing him with enough food, not just for himself, but to share with his friends and family. His neighbors, inspired by his dedication, began emulating his work ethic, and soon their fields mirrored the success of his. But the lazy man remained poor. He chased rabbits that turned out to be foxes, and spent his days weaving baskets that no one wanted. Hunger became his constant companion. The hardworking man's success only fueled the lazy man's envy. As he watched his neighbor's prosperity grow, resentment gnawed at him. One day, as the lazy man sat by the river, anger and envy contorting his face, he confronted the hardworking man. "Why is your life so different from mine?" he asked, his voice dripping with bitterness. "You and I are the same age, weren't we? We started out with the same dreams and ambitions. So why am I stuck here while you have it all?" The hardworking man paused his work, looked at the angry figure by the river, and replied calmly, "It's simple. While you waited for luck to change your life, I worked hard to create my own fortune." The lazy man scoffed. "That's easy for you to say. What do you know about my struggles? I have problems of my own." The hardworking man shook his head, a hint of pity in his eyes. "Your problems," he sighed gently, "are a consequence of your choices. You don't work hard because you don't want to change your life. You complain about being tired, yet you stay up late talking idly. You say you have no money, yet you waste what little you have on unnecessary things. And now you find yourself in this state. It's not because life has been hard to you, it's because you haven't worked hard enough." The lazy man's face flushed with anger, but the hardworking man continued, his voice unwavering. "Don't misunderstand it. Life will always be challenging. There will be times when you feel like giving up. But if you persevere, if you keep going even when it seems impossible, that's when your life will change. That's when you will be rewarded." He pointed towards his fields, now a patchwork quilt of ripe crops ready for harvest. "I didn't get lucky, nor did my crops suddenly flourish. I worked tirelessly to learn the best methods of farming. I studied the soil, the weather, the needs of my plants, and over time I became successful. I didn't wait for luck. I made my own." The lazy man looked down at his worn-out shoes. He had nothing to say in response. He had wasted his life complaining and envying others. Now he was reaping the consequences of his actions. The hardworking man continued, his voice softer now, filled with understanding. "It's not too late for you. You can start today. Set small goals for yourself and work to achieve them. Soon those small victories will add up, and you'll find yourself working towards something bigger. Don't wait for life to change. Change it yourself." His words hung in the air, a challenge and an inspiration. The lazy man felt a stir within him, a flicker of motivation that he had almost forgotten. Was it too late for him? Could he ever change his fortune? As the years rolled by, the hardworking man's reputation grew. He became a respected member of the community, known not just for his diligence, but also for his integrity and kindness. The lazy man, however, remained unchanged. He continued to complain, to envy, and to dream of an easier life, but never made an effort to change it. And so their lives diverged, one leading to prosperity and contentment, the other to poverty and regret. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the village, the hardworking man sat outside his hut. His children played nearby, their laughter echoing in the twilight. His wife sat beside him, her hand resting on his, her eyes filled with love and respect. Their home was modest, but it was filled with the warmth of family and the comfort of a life well lived. The lazy man, on the other hand, was famished and alone. He had squandered his youth, and now his old age was catching up with him. The joints in his body ached, his steps were slower, and his heart was heavy with regret. He looked up at the sky, now dark and star-studded, and thought of the hardworking man. Where was he now? Hadn't they been the same once? He wondered if his neighbor had ever thought of him, if he missed their childhood camaraderie. But most of all, he envied the life that the other man had built. If he could go back, he would choose a different path. A path that led to hard work, yes, but also to dignity, respect, and happiness. The next morning, as the sky blushed with the colors of dawn, the hardworking man was in his fields again. He had a new sapling to plant, a new row to water, a new dream to nurture. The lazy man watched him from afar, his heart filled with longing. He wished he could do what the other man did, but it was too late. His time had passed. He looked down at his calloused hands, hands that had done nothing in his life except for idle and envy. A single tear escaped his eye, tracing a lonely path down his wrinkled face. As the years slipped by, the hardworking man's legacy grew. He had shown his village that dreams could come true, that hard work paid off, and that life, though challenging, was ultimately rewarding. The lazy man's story, on the other hand, became a cautionary tale, a reminder of what could happen when one chose idleness over diligence. In the quiet rice fields of their village, under the watchful gaze of the mountains and the whispering trees, two lives played out their stories, one of sweat and toil leading to success, the other of envy and despair ending in regret. For in the end, it was the hard-working man who won, not just in material terms, but in the much more important aspects of life, dignity and peace. If you enjoyed this story, please show your support. And remember, work today for the life you dream of tomorrow.